In 2002, Jeph Loeb and Jim Lee unleashed the horrors of Hush upon the comic reading world. And almost 20 plus years later, the story is regarded as an all-time classic. But will lightning end up striking twice in the year 2025? Well, let's hop into the pages of Batman issue number 158, the kickoff to Hush 2. A sequel over 2 decades in the making, so long as you don't count Heart of Hush, or literally any other story that featured Hush after the original. Let's hop on in together and find out what happens next, shall we? So then, as we join the book, the Dark Knight is dealing with a crime spree that feels all too familiar. 2 of Joker's henchmen stole a garbage truck, as well as an entire aquarium's worth of red piranhas, all in an attempt to try and poison the Gotham Reservoir. And again, if this all seems way too familiar to you, poison reservoirs and Joker fish, well, it should. As Batman notes, the Joker has always been crazy, but straight up retelling old jokes, that's new even for him. Like, what's he gonna do for an encore? Become the minister to Iran again? No, and I guess we probably can't do that. Batman deals with the henchman only to get jumped by the Joker himself, who says, you know the old saying, if at first you don't succeed, cry, cry again, before eventually dumping Batman in the water. Where he of course ends up looking like a very tasty morsel for all these brand new Joker piranhas. Luckily, Batman does have an ace up his sleeve in the form of his mask. Mainly, as we've seen many times before, the thing is rigged to shock anyone who ever attempts to unmask the Dark Knight, only this time when Batman makes use of this ability, he ends up not only shocking the fish, but himself, which shouldn't happen. A gloating Joker attempts to escape the scene of the crime, only to end up coming face to face with an absolute mountain of a man who we later learn is nicknamed Silence. This guy isn't just big and strong either, he also seems to be able to attack Joker's inner ear, knocking him out, before ultimately dragging him away into the night. Well, damn, I sure didn't see that coming. With Batman having gone dark on his comms, back at Batgirl's belfry, she begins to worry. Again, as Barbara tells Nightwing, this sort of thing isn't supposed to happen, meaning that either Batman's suit has been hacked or they themselves have been hacked, and that they better re-establish contact with Batman and soon before things can end up getting any worse. Now, who exactly does end up pulling Batman out of the drink? Well, it's actually Talia al Ghul. Yes, it would seem the daughter of Ra's al Ghul and mother of Damian Wayne actually keeps her own tabs on Batman, and when she saw that he went dark, she swooped on in to save him. She also ends up making a very cryptic comment too, saying that the more people who rely on you means the more people that you can inevitably end up letting down. Wonder what that means. The original Hush story was of course also a mystery that started under very similar circumstances, with Batman almost biting the big one, and it seems that they're going out of their way to try and create as many red herrings as humanly possible. Now, it's after that we see what became of the Joker. He is now currently the prisoner of Tommy Elliot, aka the supervillain Hush. Elliot, of course, you'll remember, was the old childhood best friend of Bruce Wayne, as well as quite an accomplished surgeon, and he ends up going all medieval on the Joker's ass, wiring his jaw so he can't talk or laugh before eventually severing several very important arteries with ultra-sharp scalpels. Hush also makes reference to the original Hush story by saying the last time that he and the Joker met, the Harlequin of Hate had told him that this town isn't big enough for 2 homicidal maniacs. But of course, Hush doesn't see himself as a homicidal maniac. He sees himself as very sane, very direct, very, well, surgical for lack of a better word, and the Joker is really just serving as bait. Now, back over with Batman, he returns to the cave. His suit has been heavily damaged, and as such, he needs to put on a new one, and oh look, it's a wonderful throwback complete with the yellow outline around the bat. Boy, you know, if it didn't already feel like this story was taking place in its own special little side universe, then getting a change in costume just for Hush 2 really ends up putting that over the edge. Bruce confirms with Barbara and Dick that they have somehow been compromised. Someone is in their system and they need to lock down right away. Furthermore, Joker seemingly knew exactly where to hit his suit to cause the most damage, something that he couldn't possibly have known unless someone had told him. The only thing Joker left behind before he was taken was his shoe, and Batman is able to analyze it and trace Joker's whereabouts back to his new base of operations, which is actually an old base of operation, his hacienda at Amusement Mile. Oh yes, that's right everybody, we're not not just retreading the old Hush story in Hush 2, we also gotta sprinkle in a little Killing Joke illusion here too, because why not? By the time Batman makes it to the old derelict circus, the place has already been set up for his arrival, complete with a ton of different traps that he needs to work his way through. And indeed he does, even getting a super cool hero shot wherein he smashes through a window into the room where the Joker is currently being held. He's not dead yet, but he is bleeding out in record time. All around the Joker too, there are a series of television screens set up, all playing a greatest hits compilation of the Joker's greatest and most heinous crimes. What he did to Jim Gordon, what he did to Barbara, what he did to Jason, you know this by now. As well as the audio message, "Welcome friends to the show that never ends," which, god, if that doesn't perfectly sum up what it feels like reading comic books sometimes, then I don't know what does. Batman, of course, very astutely jumps to the conclusion that the only person who could create a psychological attack this pointed must be his old friend Tommy Elliot. And that, the whole point of this grim setup here is Hush basically saying, hey, you know what, you could let the Joker die right here, right now if you wanted. Remember all the terrible stuff he's done. Or, you could stay true to your morals and ideals and save him, even though you would feel absolutely terrible doing so, which is exactly what he does as the first issue comes to a close. And so that was Batman issue number 158, the grand kickoff to Hush 2, and overall I'm kind of conflicted on this one. I mean, I get it, the original Hush story is a beloved classic and you usually find it on every must-read Batman story list from here to eternity. But was the story really crying out for a sequel, especially one 20 plus years later? I certainly don't think so. I think we got a great Hush sequel in Heart of Hush. Furthermore, every time they've trotted out Tommy Elliot since that time has kind of been filled with diminishing returns, wouldn't you agree? What's your favorite Hush story that isn't Hush or Heart of Hush? Yeah, exactly. Now, maybe Jeph Loeb feels that way too and is plugged in enough to hear what fans have been saying all these years, and maybe this is his grand opportunity to come back and actually do something meaningful again with the character. But once again, I have to raise a question mark and go, why now, and why does it have to take over the main Batman book and not be, another side sequel like to all his Long Halloween stuff? Well, actually, I do have a pretty solid theory for this. Tell me what you think down in the comments section, but personally, I very much think that Hush was supposed to be the villain in The Batman 2, and the movie was supposed to be out by now, and the movie and the comic were supposed to have some synergy going on, but then, of course, the movie got delayed, and the comic makers just kind of got caught holding the bag on this one. Furthermore, there was actually a bunch of new Hush figures that were released just recently as well, which kind of strengthens my theory, but it's just a theory. But how exactly is the story itself? It's fine, there's nothing particularly wrong with it, but there's nothing that particularly grabs me either. It feels like the kickoff to a million different Batman stories I've read before. But I do intend to keep an open mind and see where this story goes. Again, the original Hush also took a little time to get going, and I'm still hoping to see them pull out some interesting twists and turns there. Overall, I would give this one a 7 out of 10. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.